Hi everyone, Lion Recaps here. Today we're going to explain a serial called Flint Redemption, released in 2013. Let's begin. A man named Andre is moving around the woods and talking to himself. He talks about how his dreams are always vivid, and he caresses a tree in the process. He begins running around and hallucinates that he's on a battlefield. Andre dodges several enemy attacks and sees as people are killed. He says the dreams lead him to the woods, which is his home. He soon stops hallucinating and walks out of the woods. A woman, who we'll name Nastya, shops for groceries in a store. Some strange men try to flirt with her as they make her uncomfortable. Nastya steps out of the store and the men follow her, and she sees a taxi driver. He offers to take her to her destination at a fair price, and she agrees to join him. A man we'll call Voronov stands on a cliff that's close to Andre's trailer, and Andre sees him and runs to hug him. Meanwhile, the taxi driver stops in the middle of nowhere and tells Nastya she's brave. He says she's brave enough to travel with a stranger and go to the middle of nowhere. The taxi driver asks what she'll do if he caresses her leg with his finger. Nastya pulls out a blade and threatens to cut the driver, and he continues driving. Voronov talks to Andre and informs them that a squad and their leader were attacked and killed. He says the attackers used military-grade technology and says their target was smugglers. He asks Andre for help and says there's a rat in their organization that's giving their enemies information. Nastya arrives with the groceries, and Voronov and Andre welcome her. Voronov suggests they have dinner, and they agree. Meanwhile, Victor arrives at a secret military base and meets Donar, who's in charge of the security service. They talk about how Donar's men took down Voronov's team and say they'll have to interrogate the men they captured as they enter a room. Andre has dinner with Nastya and Voronov tells him about the secret military base. He asks Andre to sneak around the base and find out what's going on without entering the building or being spotted. In the base, Victor eats with the mysterious woman as Donar's men interrogate the captured soldiers. Zozulia, Donar's soldier, uses a scorpion to torture a man while Donar tries to convince his partner to give them information. Zozulia threatens to cut the man's leg off, but they receive information that their guest has arrived, and they leave the room. Andre parks his car in a field, puts on some gear, and begins walking. A strange man named Blake arrives at the base, and Victor welcomes him. They talk about his journey, and Blake says he hates comfort, so they should get straight to business. Andre follows the route the unit followed and tries to understand what happened. He realizes that they got ambushed and the survivors were taken for interrogation. Andre calls Voronov and tells him about his discovery. He puts on rock climbing gear and climbs down a cliff. Blake and Victor walk into the base, and Victor assures them that they'll perform a clean job. Blake says he'll give instructions on the deal the next day and leaves. Andre hides behind a tree and takes photos of Blake and Victor. Blake leaves, and Donar suggests they finish the interrogation before they begin packing their cargo. They enter the room, and Donar approaches the captive. He shoots his legs as he asks him to talk and says they'll let him and his squadmate leave if they give them information. The captive gets drowsy and tells them that they work under Colonel Voronov. Outside, Andre walks to the guards and pretends to be a mountain climber. He says he needs help because he was separated from his crew of climbers, and the guards take him into the base. Victor has to talk to a man on his laptop and asks about Voronov. The man says Voronov is a legend, but says he doesn't have information on him. Victor instructs him to find information on him and send it immediately. Donar enters as Victor ends the call. He says their new place is ready and they should begin moving. Victor asks what they'll do to those who have been stung, and Donar suggests they get rid of them. Victor asks them to be patient until they get information on Voronov. The guard places Andre in a cell and leaves. Andre breaks his restraints and looks at the people in the cell. He sees the captured soldiers, who he knows personally, and the conscious soldier informs them that escaping will be difficult because there are too many soldiers in the building. The guard goes to Zozulia and informs them that he has put Andre in the cell. Zozulia goes to the cell and sees Andre, who knocks him down and takes his gun. He walks out of the cell as he makes his way out of the base. He begins to kill several soldiers as they realize he isn't with them. Donar gets informed and asks his men to lock down the base. He runs after Andre but doesn't get him, and he escapes. Donar goes to Victor, who shows him Voronov's file. They realize that Andrei is Voronov's student, and Donar asks Victor to get his file and information. They drag the prisoners, including the soldiers, and begin to execute them. Donar informs the soldiers that someone will come for them and takes them away. Andrei watches what happens from a distance. He picks up Zozulia, who's tied up, and leaves. Andrei calls Nastya and tells her that he'll return in the morning. He asks her to go to sleep and says she should keep her phone close. Andrei drives to a building, and Voronov helps him carry Zozulia out of the car. Nastya sits in darkness as several lights move around her. The lights enter the room and flashes in her eyes. Voronov, Andrei, and their acquaintance place Zozulia on the floor and talk about what Andrei saw on the base. He says they packed up and moved to a new location. Voronov sees a picture of Donar and says he was involved with drugs from Afghanistan. Andrei suggests he tortures Zozulia to get information from him, but Voronov refuses and says he'll handle him. Andrei goes to his car, and Voronov thanks him for his help. He informs Voronov that there are civilians being held as hostages, and they say they'll find a way to help them. Andrei drives to his house and parks at a distance. He sees several cars and realizes someone's at his house. He sneaks around and kills the guards who are waiting for him to return. He walks to his house, and several men emerge and shoot at him. Andrei dodges as he tactically takes down the men. He picks up a phone call, and a man tells him that they've abducted Nastya. The man gives him instructions and says Andrei will have to follow them if he wants Nastya to remain alive. A car stops at a police checkpoint. The men in the car tell Nastya to remain quiet as they talk to the officers. Nastya tries to scream, but the men knock her out and inject her with a substance to leave her unconscious. Meanwhile, Andrei walks in the street with Voronov as they talk about their situation. Voronov says that their enemy has Nastya and his men, and they need to find a way to retrieve them. They wonder what business Victor and his men are into and realize it might be human trafficking because people in the town often go missing. The civilians in the neighborhood lock their doors and windows as Andrei and Voronov walk past them. Voronov says that they control the town, so they regulate the people that come in and go out. While walking, some men in scooters ride past them, and Voronov realizes something's wrong. He turns around as the men alight from their scooters and pull out their guns. The men shoot and hit Voronov, and Andrei rushes to pick up his gun. He hides behind a pillar as he shoots and kills 2 men while the third escapes. Andrei instructs a civilian to call an ambulance as he runs through the neighborhood to get to the shooter. The police and ambulance arrive and see the people on the floor. Andrei eventually gets to the shooter and knocks him down. He stabs his head, and the police arrive and try to apprehend him. Andrei jumps into a compound and enters the building before the officers can arrest him. He gets on a scooter and rides away. Donar talks to Victor and informs him that Voronov is in a coma. Victor asks him to send men to kill him so he won't get in their way anymore. He says that they'll pin Voronov's death on Andrei because he's a wanted man and he'll die in prison. Meanwhile, Andrei enters a hotel and knocks on a door. The man in the room, who works for Victor, opens the door and Andrei says he's in a room service. The man asks him to leave and shuts the door. Andrei quietly enters the room and the 2 men see him. They ask him to leave, but he knocks them down and kills them. He takes an SD card from a laptop and leaves the building. Andrei makes a call and informs the person that Nastya isn't in the building. He goes outside and sits on a car, causing the driver to step out with his gun. Andrei knocks the driver down, stabs him multiple times, and takes the car. Nastya wakes up in a room and sees several men holding her down. Donar emerges and asks if she's all right. She tells him he'll be dead soon and behaves abnormally. Donar instructs the doctor to treat her and ensure she's all right because he wants to interrogate her. Andrei goes to the house where Zozulia is being interrogated. The acquaintance talks to him and tells him they're in trouble because of all that's happening. He says that he took Zozulia to the detention center and he was released almost immediately. Andrei asks him if he knew that Zozulia would be released, and he says he did. He knocks the man to the ground and threatens to kill him, but his wife emerges and begs him not to. Andrei releases the man, and he says he knows who helped Zozulia get out of the detention center. He says the man's name is Savin and shows him a picture. Savin steps out of a building and enters his car. Andrei emerges and threatens to kill him, but he doesn't take him seriously. Andrei stabs his hand and forces him to call Zuzulya. He calls Zuzulya and lies that he has Andrei in his trunk. They decide to meet somewhere, and Andrei forces Savin to drive. Meanwhile, Donar interrogates Nastya and asks her about Andrei. She refuses to give him information, and he takes her pendant. He tries pouring various objects into her mouth, but she says she's thirsty and asks for a glass of water. Donar goes to get the water, and Nastya tries to attack him with her blade. Donar dodges her attacks and knocks her down. Savin and Andrei arrive at Victor's new base. Savin tells Andrei that he'll die before getting to Zuzulya and parks the car. Andrei forces him to enter the trunk as he walks away. He blends in with the soldiers and asks around until he gets to the hospital. A soldier tells him where Zuzulya is, and Andrei goes there. He enters the building and takes a grenade from a man. The man tries to question him, but Andrei kills him and takes his gun. Another man approaches him and asks who he is, and Andrei kills him and takes more weapons. Several guards emerge, and Andrei sees Zuzulya at a distance. A shootout ensues, and Andrei throws the grenade at the soldiers. He kills all the soldiers that attack him, and Zuzulya runs away. He informs other soldiers of Andrei's presence, and they run to a warehouse that he's in. Andrei kills all the soldiers that attack him, and Zuzulya tries to escape. Andrei finds him, beats him, and throws him into a pile of sand. He asks for the location of their new base, and Zuzulya tells him it's at the offshore lighthouse. Andrei kills him and leaves. He gets in the car and drives away as several cars pursue him. He shoots at the cars and takes them down as he drives. Meanwhile, Nastya sits in a room with several people and asks who they are. Some refuse to speak, while others say they were kidnapped by Victor and Donar's men. Andrei and the acquaintance enter his trailer, and the man gives him some diving gear. He tells Andrei that his mission is suicide and tries to convince him not to go. Andrei refuses as the man gives several reasons why he won't make it. He says the water's freezing and that there are too many men on the island. Andrei refuses to listen to him and leaves the trailer with the gear. In the hospital, a man talks to a doctor, and the doctor tells him about Voronov's condition. The man leaves, and a woman tells the lady at the front desk that she's a neurosurgeon. She enters Voronov's room and tries injecting him with poison, but a young man enters. He asks her what she's doing, and she stabs him with the injection. She removes Voronov's medical equipment, and several officers enter the room. They search for her, but she hides behind a shelf and escapes. Victor talks to Donar and tells him Andrei attacked their warehouse. Donar assures him that Andrei won't make it to the island. Some men in the cell with Nastya plan their escape, but the doctor enters and knocks one of them out. He looks at a woman and says she isn't infected and takes her. The people realize they aren't hostages, but organ donors. Andrei gets on a beach, puts on the diving gear, and enters the water. Donar tells him not to worry and says Andrei won't survive if he gets on the island. The assassin enters the room and tells them she didn't expect to see SWAT at Voronov's room. Donar says they'll finish him off later and says she's needed on the island. He says they're expecting Andrei to show up and instructs her to kill him, or she will be killed. Andrei emerges from the water and shivers because it's extremely cold. He removes some clothes from a waterproof bag and puts them on. The assassin goes to the surgery room and complains because he performed surgery without her. She apologizes and says that the woman was good because she didn't drink or smoke. The assassin goes to the bunker where the captives are kept and calls Nastya. She lies that she's helping her escape and takes her to the surgery room. Nastya sees the doctor and he pushes her onto a table. The assassin informs her they aren't allowed to kill her. They ask her if she'll play with them and give her a blade. The doctor asks her to try to kill them. She attempts to stab the doctor but misses, and he attacks her. He attacks her, and the assassin eats as he throws her around. Meanwhile, Andrei walks through the building and enters a room. He kills the man and asks one about the building. The man tells him where the bunker and surgery room are. He then stabs the man, arms himself with some weapons, and leaves the room. Donar and his men enter the surgery room and scold the doctor for beating Nastya up. The men take her away as an alarm sounds. Andrei walks around the building and kills several men. Donar gives his men instructions on where to stay to intercept Andrei. He watches a thermal scan of the building and informs some men of Andre's location. The men realize the person isn't Andre, and he throws a grenade and kills them. He continues killing the soldiers as he gets to the second floor. A soldier catches him and makes him kneel. Victor instructs the soldier to stuff Andre and bring him, but Andre knocks him down and kills him. He talks to Donar through the walkie-talkie, and Donar says he'll kill Nastya. The assassin goes to Nastya's cell and talks to her. She says she's a prisoner and is being forced to help Victor. She convinces Nastya to follow her out of the cell and says Andre can save both of them. Andre continues killing soldiers as he goes to the next floor. He enters the surgery room and sees the doctor, who talks about Nastya. The lights suddenly go out and several soldiers point their lights at Andre. He dodges immediately and the soldiers shoot and kill the doctor. Andre hides in the darkness and kills the soldiers. Nastya and the assassin walk, and she tells Nastya she wants to play hide-and-seek. She goes to hide while Nastya searches for her. Nastya finds the assassin standing under a light bulb. The assassin says she likes Nastya and they shouldn't fight, but Nastya says she's sick. She rushes at Nastya, but Nastya stabs and kills her. Andre moves as he kills several soldiers. He engages in a shootout against Donar, and they begin fighting with their fists. Andre knocks him down, but several soldiers emerge. He rushes to a room and uses Donar's keycard to unlock it and enter. Donar's men search for explosives to destroy the door. Andre keeps moving and eventually reunites with Nastya. She informs them there are more captives and they rush to release them. Andre meets the captured soldiers and Nastya frees the other people. They leave the building and Andre gives them instructions on how they'll escape the island. Donar talks to Victor and says he was wrong for underestimating Andre. He says Andre is gifted and he should have hired gifted soldiers to handle him. He tells Victor that the gifted soldiers will arrive soon and they charge a lot of money. Andre and the others kill some soldiers and hijack a boat. They get on the boat and shoot at the soldiers as they escape. The soldiers cease fire and Andre stands with Nastya. The acquaintance is talking to Voronov and informing him that their forces have blocked all possible escape routes. He says Donar and his men are well connected, so they'll have to rely on even the military to help find and take them down. Voronov says he has to make a phone call, and the acquaintance offers to make the call, but Voronov says he has to do it himself. Donar talks to Victor as they walk, and Victor says his clients, who've purchased organs and are awaiting their arrival, won't be happy because of the delay. He says he hopes the gifted soldiers Donar talked about will help him retrieve the captives that escaped. A soldier walks to them, and they spot Andre and the others using a satellite. He informs them that their boat is ready to leave the island, and they go to it. Andre and the others arrive at a field, and he gives Nastya instructions on where to go. He says they'll have to split up and tells her to follow a straight path until they begin to see houses. A man informs Andre that the man they're carrying is dead, and they begin to move. Andre moves in a different direction from the others. Donar and Victor arrive at a facility, and they see several professional killers. He informs Victor that the killer to kill Andre will get the money. Donar talks to all the killers and says they'll get $50,000 for participating in the hunt. He says that Andre is an incredible soldier and asks that they kill him. Nastya walks with the escaped captives, and a man gives someone else's gun and sits on the floor. He says that they're hopeless and they're all going to die. Nastya tells him to stand so they can continue walking, and he says she should stop being bossy. She threatens to shoot him because of his behavior, and he says she's bluffing but continues moving with them. The killers, who are hunters, enter a room that's full of weapons and arm themselves. A muscular hunter tries flirting with a woman, but she doesn't pay attention to him. They walk outside with their gear and one of the hunters emerges and destroys the targets. He says he's getting married and has to kill Andre immediately. The hunters go to the woods and one of them suggests they move in different directions so they won't interfere with someone else's hunt. Meanwhile, Nastya and the others continue moving, and the man tries to kill an animal with his gun because he's hungry. Nastya stops him and says the noise will attract their enemies. He continues nagging, and Nastya asks him if he's on his period. He attacks her, but the people drag him away, and Nastya says he should control himself. The hunters begin their hunt and eventually start killing themselves in order to have less competition. The female hunter stabs the muscular hunter several times and shoots him with his sniper. Andrei moves around the woods as he kills the hunters. He uses various techniques to hide and kill the hunters without being detected. Donar goes to Victor, and Victor says he wants to leave the country. Donar closes the briefcase with the money and shoots Victor. Victor insults him and says he's useless, and Donar kills him. He steps out of the building, meets his soldiers, and they join the hunt. Nastya and the others continue walking, and the man gets paranoid. He yells at her as she says they shouldn't follow a path. He begins talking about how Andrei is a liar and he's only using them to cover himself. He sees a rabbit, grabs a gun, and shoots it. Several soldiers hear the gunshots and follow the sound. The man decides to leave and says he wants a gun. Nastya gives him a gun but shoots him and says he brought the situation upon himself. Andrei moves through the woods and uses an arrow to kill the female hunter. A hobo-like hunter, who Donar says is one of the best hunters, takes a dagger from her pocket and kills some soldiers that approach him. The hobo hunter sees another hunter who complains and says he's encroaching on his territory. He tells the hunter that they're in nature and it belongs to no one. The hunter calls him a frog, and the hobo hunter shoots and kills him. He goes to Andrei, who meditates on some rocks, and says he doesn't want to fight. He gives Andrei his gun and informs him that all the other hunters are dead. Andrei thanks him for his help, and he walks away. Donar calls the hobo hunter, who says that he's in brothers with Andrei due to their profession. Donar and his men see the nagging man's dead body and follow the trail. Nastya and the others get to a farm, and the owner yells at them. He accuses them of being with Donar and says the soldiers took his son. Nastya explains that they escaped from the soldiers, and Donar is an evil man. She walks to him and informs him that his sons were killed and they had their organs harvested. The man allows them to enter his farm. Later, Nastya wakes up and steps out of the house. Donar's soldiers grab her, and he emerges. Meanwhile, Blake enters the facility, and Andrei follows him. They enter the room and see Victor's dead body. Blake sits on a chair and gives Andrei a phone that rings. Andrei hears Donar's voice, and he instructs him to return to his home if he wants to see Nastya alive. Andrei throws a grenade into the room and leaves as it explodes. He enters a car and drives to his home, where he sees Donar and his man standing with Nastya. Donar says he already sees Andrei dead, and Andrei says he shouldn't be scared because he's unarmed. Donar kills the man and rushes to Andrei with a dagger, but Andrei pulls out a gun and kills him. Andrei rushes to Nastya and hugs and kisses her. They begin running as they realize that they have more enemies to defeat. That's all for now. Thank you for watching, and wait for us for many upcoming films. Just don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button below. Bye.